Hey everyone, Zach Nordyke here with you, passionate learner when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, and investing. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to share with you a thesis that I've kind of developed with the aid of a bunch of friends about thinking of cryptocurrency like a virtual property and being able to rent out your holdings for returns. Of course, this is not a new idea. In real estate, if we were to buy a home or a multifamily complex, of course, we would think about renting that property, making returns off the rental money, and then eventually, maybe 5 to 10 years down the line, selling it and hoping to benefit from the appreciation that that property is accrued. That thought process, I think, can be applied to cryptocurrency. And it helps really, I think, build a lot of comfort in the risk and volatility that's inherent to that market because it is so new. But there's a way to basically make yield or make staking rewards as you're waiting for appreciation to occur that can offset a bunch of the volatility that's basically inevitable. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can think of using your stable coins as well as direct crypto assets as ways to generate cash flow as you're waiting for the bigger appreciation that you can get when you're patient. In all my previous videos, I've truly been an advocate for time in the market and not timing the market. And when you're getting paid some type of distribution on your money, it makes waiting a lot more pleasurable than cold storage. I do believe there's immense value in a person having full possession of their crypto. They own their keys, they have it cold stored, they have a whole protection and security strategy. I give tremendous credence to that thought process, but I also believe there's a way to keep things on exchange where you can benefit from the cash flow and the borrowing that's really just been intense. People have a huge appetite to borrow, whether it be stable coins or more direct crypto assets. And the percents that they're willing to pay, the APYs that they're willing to pay to borrow these things are huge. So I think it's wise to think about benefiting from the cash flow that your assets can, that your crypto assets can produce as you're waiting for appreciation to occur. I want to jump into a screen share, and please forgive kind of the wildness of some of my ideas. This is still raw. I think when you're a crypto investor, which I'm proud to be one, you have to have a constant evolution of your thinking. But I want to share my thought process about how you can kind of akin your holdings to real estate and maximize your rent as you're waiting for appreciation. So let me jump into my screen. And I just wrote this out on a doc. This is very rough, but I was excited to share it because this mental model for me helped me feel like, boy, I can be more patient as I'm waiting for appreciation to happen on the underlying assets. So you're going to have to forgive this. If 10 million is just out, a number of your dreams, I get it, but it's to illustrate the power of doing this. Let's say you had a $10 million investment that you wanted to allocate towards crypto. Okay. Let's then say out of the $10 million that 92.5% of the 10 million you are going to allocate to stable coins, right? Stable coins are either things that are tokens that are either backed one-to-one with dollars, meaning you buy, for instance, a Gemini USD. A Gemini USD has an account tied to it that is backed with the equivalent amount of dollars. If there's a GUSD out on an exchange, there's also a US fiat dollar in a bank account up in New York State that backs it. So it's one-to-one. When you go to withdraw a stable coin like GUSD, not every stable coin, but like GUSD that is absolutely valued at a one-to-one ratio with the dollar, it's just like withdrawing dollars. So 92% of this really, in my mind, substantial investment would be allocated towards either one-to-one dollar-backed stable coins or an algorithmic stable coin. And that's where substantial, as you're going to see as I walk through this, portion of the holdings will be an algorithmic stable coin I like UST. This is what we're going to use for our example. So 92.5% of the $10 million is going to go to GUSD and UST. That's where we're going to have kind of our anxiety levels diminish, because we're holding a huge part of the crypto allocation in kind of dollar related stable coins that produce some really attractive yields. So the majority of our holdings in this particular strategy are generating cash flow. They're not really generating much appreciation, but we will have a 7.5% allocation, basically the remainder of that chunk, go into direct crypto investments. And my big plays for direct crypto investment would be certainly Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Now, people can dispute kind of the third piece, or they can say, hey, I'm all Bitcoin. It doesn't matter how you want to allocate, because with the yield you're going to produce on your stable coins, you can pick anything that you'd like. If you've researched Avalanche heavily and that's your go-to bread and butter, crypto, fantastic. If you're a big Solana person, fantastic, good for you. But my biggest suggestion is let the stable coins build a lot of yield and reserve cash. We know there's heavy market fluctuation no matter which chain you're a big fan of, and there's reasons to be excited about a lot. Make sure that you are making your principal back. You're keeping a large chunk of your allocation safe as you're kind of going further out on that risk curve. So out of the 92%, out of the 92.5% that we're going to put in stables, as you can see from the breakdown here, we're going to put 1.48 million of that, and again, we're pretending like we have 10 million, into GUSD. Why would we do that? Well, GUSD is really hyperlinked to the US dollar. Again, if you, and I've done this, if you put your GUSD in BlockFi, okay, BlockFi is a centralized crypto exchange. If you put your GUSD in BlockFi, it will appreciate, it will have roughly a 7 to 8, maybe even 8.5% APY yielding. The beauty of this is every month you get that yield that it's generating deposited straight into your BlockFi account as more GUSD. When you go to withdraw it, if you want to spend it in the real world, and I know that there's other strategies to be able to spend it, but if you want to, let's say, possess it in fiat, okay, porting it from BlockFi to a bank account, it does not require sell-off. It doesn't require anything. You just basically, you can do an ACH and you can move it from your BlockFi account to your, whatever you want to call it, legacy bank account. You can do a wire transfer if it's a significant sum, but there's no like selling GUSD for USD. And again, I'm going to slow down and say it again. You don't have to sell the GUSD and the interest that's generated in USD back to USD. So basically, you don't have to take your Gemini dollars and sell them back to dollars. It just is a dollar. When you make that transfer from BlockFi to a traditional legacy bank account, if you want to go ahead and have it in fiat again to go spend at a store, however you want to think of it, or spend it on something else, that doesn't require any type of sell-off, which means that the liquidity is there instantly. There's nothing kind of that would prevent you from feeling very secure about it. That's been my experience. I was fortunate enough to have something around $31,000 in GUSD appreciating over the course of roughly a year. I think it yielded me about $11,000 in interest just on that cash. I withdrew it from BlockFi because I needed to do something for a loan that I had. Went right into my account. There was no fees on top of it, no nothing. Both my initial 31,000 or something to that effect, plus the $11,000 of interest that basically I just sat back and did nothing. BlockFi's yield just generated it for me. Went into my legacy account, with absolutely no issue. I didn't owe anyone a nickel. The bank didn't take any money just because I think it was an ACH move that was part of my bank setup. BlockFi didn't take a nickel. It was all mine. And it happened within hours, moving it from one account to the other. That's why we want to be heavily in stable coins. And I know I'm being emphatic about it, but it's such a huge win to know that you have that much liquidity. You're getting really attractive interest, and it can be moved from, let's say, the crypto universe to the legacy universe very seamlessly, or very seamlessly for something that's this new and this pioneering, we'll say. So that's my whole take on the value of GUSD and how simple it is to port. Now, I think a degree more risky, but the yields are just so nice, is the algorithmic stable coin Terra USD. Now, to dive into Terra, again, I made a video on this. My best suggestion is to buy the UST or the Terra USD on OKCoin, because when you do this, the UST is in a native Terra state, which allows you not to have to use a tool like TerraBridge or anything that would convert it from an ERC20 style token over into the Terra ecosystem. It's just Terra from the get-go. You buy the UST, it's in the Terra ecosystem. You send it to your Terra Station wallet, then you can deposit it into Anchor. Why am I such a big fan of doing this? One, the fees are pretty low, probably a little over $1 to do a reasonable size transaction. And again, I would recommend that you do some research on this, but my personal experience, not advice, but my personal experience is using OKCoin to buy UST, taking that UST from OKCoin, putting it in Terra Station, and then depositing it from Terra Station into the Anchor protocol, which is part of the Terra ecosystem, to generate, and get this, 19.45% APY on that money. It's huge. And remember, UST is an algorithmic stable coin. It is not something where there's a bank account full of US dollars that's backing it 1-to-1, but it does stay, we'll say, aligned with the value of $1 US. There is certainly more risk to it than a GUSD, but that yield is just really, really strong in taking it from Anchor back to Terra Station, back to an OKCoin, in creating a fiat dollar, getting it back to fiat dollars is not terribly expensive or difficult or that risky, in my opinion. It's still as close to a high interest bank account as you're going to get in the world of crypto. So you got your Gemini US dollars in BlockFi, a very safe bet, yielding, let's say, somewhere between 7 to 8% APY. And you got your UST yielding 19.45% in an Anchor protocol. Okay, that's where your bread and butter is. You're safe. You're just really spitting out cash flow every month from putting so much of your allocation in there. Now, with the remaining 7.5%, you can get as risky as you want. I still think there's value in creating more cash flow, but with being more intentional about diving into the crypto universe. So as we think through this, I say, hey, in my $10 million example, $750,000 initially, and you can get your allocation as high as 30% into direct crypto over time. When you think market indicators are saying, yes, this is a really attractive buy point in general to go directly into crypto, you have some reserves that you can take out of your stable coin and go in heavier. But let's look at a 7.5% allocation. Again, using my $10 million example, that's $750,000. We would take that $750,000 and we would look at the first kind of chunk of money being placed in Bitcoin. Okay. We're going to take our biggest allocation because I like to do things that have the most predictability. I think Bitcoin is the driver of the entire crypto market. S&P and Bitcoin are highly correlated. And those tend to drive the entire crypto market. So if other things are having phenomenal success in the crypto space, it's really because Bitcoin's having success. Should they be correlated? Probably not. Are they correlated? You have to say yes when you look at how the market operates. S&P is a driver. The tech sector specifically of S&P is a driver, but Bitcoin's price is a driver of all kind of other crypto assets. So when we're looking at that, I know Bitcoin's probably the most predictable indicator of crypto success. So the biggest allocation out of that 7.5 that I'm doing directly into cryptos is Bitcoin. Okay, I think that there's the most value there. So out of my 750,000, I'm going to put 375,000, basically half of that, into Bitcoin or Bitcoin related tokens. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do $262,000 directly into Bitcoin itself. No fancy business, just a straight Bitcoin and hold type of situation. The other allocation part is going to go into stacks. I'm really impressed with stacks. It adds value to the Bitcoin network because it's basically going to create a DeFi element over time. It also does some stuff in terms of the proof of, like, it has its own kind of derivative piece on the proof of work protocol, and you're able to get rewarded in Bitcoin from holding stacks. I love it. I think of it as a stock with a dividend. So another part of my Bitcoin play, because I think stacks is adding a really huge value to the Bitcoin network by bringing in that DeFi element and the fact that it rewards you in Bitcoin for holding it. I think part of your Bitcoin allocation needs to go to stacks. It's got some nice appreciation, but being rewarded in Bitcoin from just holding it is huge. And the way you can do this is through OKCoin. That's a big suggestion of mine, that you use OKCoin to stake your stacks and get those rewards. Or it's not my suggestion. I suggest that you research it and look into it. It's something I personally do, and I think that it's really valuable. Not advice, just something for you to further research. So putting some of your allocation into Bitcoin and stacks out of that Bitcoin chunk of your investment allowance. Okay, now let's go another layer. Let's look at Ethereum. What if we did $262,000 into Ethereum total? Out of that allocation, let's go 183 directly into ETH itself, buying those ETH tokens and just holding. Maybe you hold them on exchange and get a little yield from a BlockFi, but then you are going to take the other part, right? And you are going to, and I'm sorry, we're right here, and we're going to put that $78,000 that remains into staking for the ETH 2.0. So you would stake that ETH, and it's somewhere between a 4 to 7% return just for holding. Now, the thing about doing this is you can't touch it. It's locked up and off grid. I like to have some ETH where I could go and grab it if there was some reason to do it. But locking up, a small portion of your holdings and staking it is amazing, because you're going to get returns on your ETH, obviously, with more ETH. And if you don't need to access it all, then why not stake it? Why not get that nice return that you can get while we're waiting for the ETH 2.0 to come out? Don't do it all. That's my personal thought. Don't put all your allocation into it. But when you can use the stacks for Bitcoin to generate more Bitcoin, when you can stake some of your ETH to get more ETH, why not? Rent the stuff out if you're not going to use it all. You're going to love that cash flow and appreciation. And I do have a whole financial model that shows you how valuable it is to stake and get these great returns. And then the last thing is, again, just something I've personally been very interested in and a big fan of, Cardano and the ADA token. So taking the remaining $112,000 in the allocation, putting it in Cardano and Cardano related investment, putting about 78K right into Cardano itself, just holding the ADA token so you can have instant liquidity if you would need it, or close to instant liquidity if you need it. And then staking, the other 33K worth of it. And again, OKCoin makes it so easy to stake ADA that I strongly advise looking into it. And that is a way that whether it's your stable coins or your direct crypto assets, you can be pouring on the cash flow and getting nice distributions every month, or I think in the ADA staking, it's every 15 days. You're just seeing new money come in all the time as you're waiting on bigger appreciation from the underlying assets. It's like getting paid rent every month on your crypto assets as you're waiting for them to appreciate. And also that rent or that cash flow that it's spitting off, it is de-risking you. What do I mean? Whatever your principal investment was, you're getting little percents of that back each month. And if you have a long enough holding timeline, and that has to be something you put in your brain, if it's something like 5 years, and these interest rates even stay within a decent range of what they are now, which you would assume that the crypto borrowing and lending space would stay pretty hot. It might cool down at certain periods or not be as intense as it is right this moment. But nonetheless, to get paid out every month and return a little chunk of what you outlaid in 5 years, I'm going to tell you, if you follow a strategy like this, you're going to pay yourself back and be completely kind of de-risk if you wanted to go back into fiat. And you can let your underlying crypto direct investments in a Bitcoin, a Cardano, Ethereum ride, because you've taken whatever you initially invested and you could potentially pull it out. So it's beautiful when you're making cash flow as a way to kind of de-risk or to build cash, and then wait for the big market upswings on the underlying assets. So think about it like a house that somebody's going to pay you rent on, or a big apartment building that many people are going to pay you rent on, and you're collecting all these rents. And the beauty of it is the building or the property itself is growing in value as you're collecting all these rents from, in this case, your crypto assets. So don't be scared to collect those rents. Again, not investment advice, but my opinion. Don't be scared to collect those rents and pay yourself as you're waiting for bigger underlying appreciation to occur. Folks, I again am Zach Nordyke. It was a pleasure talking with you. I know I went fast. I know this is a wild idea. I'll probably refine it quite a bit, but I wanted to share this with you because I've seen so much personal value out of it. Don't take it as an investment advice. Do your own research, but hopefully this has been informative. This has helped make you more informed so you can make great investment decisions for yourself. Until next time, I will see you all later.